Hello and welcome back to Insiders, your News's current affairs magazine with an in-depth look at the critical events shaping our world. I'm your host, Sophie Claudy. Germany is among those northern European countries that bring to mind respect for the environment, a strong green movement, educated citizens eager to recycle. But dig in a bit more and you'll find out that a quarter of Germany's electricity comes from brown coal. Lignite, to be exact, a particularly dirty kind of coal. Lignite is responsible for 20% of the country's greenhouse gas emissions. A great majority of Germans want out of coal, and Angela Merkel's government has vowed to heed their call. Only it is taking a while. The pro-coal lobby is powerful. Lignite is cheap, domestically produced, and provides jobs to 20,000 people. Our reporter Hans van der Brilli went to Hambach forest near Cologne, where anti-coal activists regularly clash with police over the extension of a nearby lignite open-cast pit, Germany's largest. What's going down in Hambach epitomizes the country's conundrum: save the environment or give up to economic considerations. Let's watch and stay with us afterwards. I'll be talking to an energy and environment expert.
Dawn is close as a huge police operation mobilizes around Hambach forest. Hundreds and hundreds of police are moving in to expel protesters. A closed-off security zone surrounds the forest, which is due to be swallowed by Germany's biggest open-cast lignite mine. The protesters' occupation is illegal, but they don't care. They want to save the forest for sure, but these are no mere tree huggers. Lignite is one of the filthiest fossil fuels, a disastrous coal for greenhouse gas emissions. In one treehouse village, protesters are barricaded inside. One young woman calls herself Ghost.
We're living in the treetops, so they can't reach us. They can't clear-cut the forest when it's full of people. Over there's a huge open-cast pit. It's been getting bigger for 40 years. Now they even want to clear-cut this last remaining woodland so that they can haul the lignite out of the ground beneath. But we don't need lignite any longer. We're in the midst of an energy revolution. We're not using violence, just sitting here. We're just in the trees, and we hope to stay. But we don't use violence.
We aren't allowed up, but she pulls up our GoPro camera. Everyone here is prepared for a long siege. Having stored water and food, they'll resist as long as they can. A dozen people have been squeezed inside for the last 30 hours. The music is drowned out by heavy machinery under police guard breaking through. Ground-level supporters try to slow it down.
You can see what's going on.
Maybe it's covered by law what they are doing, but it is absurd. In Berlin right now, politicians discuss the phasing out of coal. We all know the end of coal is coming.
It's unbelievable what is happening in Germany these days. Supposedly, we are the trailblazer in climate politics. This forest could have been the symbol to exit coal. But right now, this forest is being destroyed right in front of our eyes. That's an absurdity. It cannot be.
4,000 hectares of pristine forest have been clawed up, leaving gaping pits behind. After 40 years, operator RWE is still hungry. Some 2,000 police officers make this the region's biggest security operation ever. Most occupiers are ready for civil disobedience. Some go further, says the spokesperson of Köppen, a town like the forest, right on the edge of the strip mining area.
One evening when we were leaving the forest, we were attacked by two hooded masked persons throwing Molotov cocktails. We were inside a police car and they exploded.
The regional government issued warnings that protests could become violent. Indeed, a warning shot was fired by police after several masked people attacked them with stones. Well, ditches have been dug here and all around barricades are up to slow police cars down. The forest occupiers prepared themselves well. I will try and have a talk with them. Over there is Beachtown, I was told, one of 7 treetop villages around here. Let's hit the forest trail. We end up in Cozy Town, which sounds more like a children's TV show than a radical bunker. We're ordered to stop filming. After some discussions, Cozy Town lets us in. Some have lived here for 6 years, sleeping in tree houses up to 25 metres above the ground. Shiva joined about a year ago. Her high-altitude moon house is not easy to evacuate. Has she participated in acts of sabotage? She won't answer. But she is ready to speak about violence, red lines and illegality, and how a giant energy company was able to buy a forest.
RWE is a huge energy company with a lot of money. They just go for the coal and the cash. What we're doing here is against the law. It's a fight using illegal means, not respecting the laws. This site, this land, belongs to RWE. It should have been declared a natural sanctuary, but they bought it. When you damage a power shovel, you get the same sentence as if attacking a human being. That's not right. Things should be separated. Vandalising some of those damned machines, that's not violence. But I would never use violence against a living creature or against a human being.
While elsewhere in the forest, the police speed up the evacuation. She offers us tea. Shiva still remembers the moment when she decided to join Cozy Town. It happened when she stood overlooking the pit.
I just saw a vast expanse, dead land, horrifying, like a moonscape. And on the horizon, coal power plants lined up. I saw the smog streaming from the chimneys, a smoggy fog floating through the air, and I was shocked. I could almost feel the absence of clean air. Then I turned around, and I saw this gorgeous forest, full of sounds, full of life, full of chirping. Chirping, twittering birds, full of wind, moving everything, full of harmony, full of colours. I still get goosebumps when I remember this very moment. It was just wow.
At the open-cast pit itself, we're told stopping the strip mining comes at a price. RWE, one of Germany's energy majors, insists on going ahead with lignite extraction, as leaving Hambach's coal underground would cost 4 to 5 billion euros. Wow, what a hole! This open-cast pit will expand to 85 square kilometres. We had a confirmed interview appointment with RWE, but it's just been cancelled. What a pity. Anyway, RWE has some good arguments on their side, too. 21,000 jobs are still directly linked to coal all over Germany. In this region, there are 10,000 coal jobs. That can't be ignored. On the other hand, there's environmental destruction and the CO2 problem. The main pro-coal argument made by RWE is about securing a reliable energy supply. Coal power plants deliver electricity to energy-intensive industries around the clock. But visitors we meet at the strip mine's Belvedere are in favour of quick and far-reaching structural changes. And that's an opinion most Germans hold.
We're wasting the lives of our upcoming generations. There's a problem of responsibility. Those who continue lignite extraction are shirking theirs.
Phasing out nuclear power and coal at the same time could create a serious problem in terms of stable year-round energy supply, say some researchers. Wrong, say others. Germany can shoulder both at the same time. You need endless trainloads of this lignite to meet energy needs, as it's the poorest quality fossil fuel. Somehow it's a joke. Germany pretends to be at the cutting edge of climate protection, but this does not match with the figures. Some 37% of German electricity is still generated by burning coal, and that's the reason why Germany does not meet its climate targets. The village of Morschenrich will also be razed to the ground, just like the forest. In 2024, this village will be part of history. Some 2/3 of the residents have already left. But there's a surprise. Quite a few locals around here like lignite.
If we abandon coal overnight, this would destroy all the jobs linked to coal. Just imagine what is going to happen to all those families with children. It's not just about the environment. The question is, what is going to happen to all the children if hundreds, if thousands of fathers lose their work?
The question is, should coal be unplugged quickly or should there be a long transition period?
You cannot unplug coal overnight. You simply just cannot unplug a country of our size overnight. Just saying, let's switch completely to green energy will not work out.
It won't work. All these huge industrial companies around here need cheap coal energy produced by RWE. If RWE decided to turn it off, tomorrow we would all be sitting in the dark. That's a fact. Alternative energy concepts are not advanced enough yet. As long as coal, the black gold, is here beneath us, it should be brought up in order to keep everything around here going. That's my opinion.
RWE's infrastructure gets vandalised, transformers burnt, lignite trains damaged, and cars and machinery attacked. The local shepherd is also angry with the climate activists.
I used an electric fence, and they have stolen the battery and control box when it was turned off. And they have cut my fences. They are sick professional criminals. They cut 10 of my fences. Each fence is 50 metres long, and every single fence was cut at least 3 times, some of them even 4 or 5 times.
This huge police intervention is in full swing, and we're following it.
Euronews von der Brille.
Ja, alles klar. Aber tun Sie bitte einen Gefallen. Stören Sie bitte die Einsatzkräfte bei den Maßnahmen nicht. Ja, Sie können gerne filmen, alles kein Problem, aber bitte...
Sorry, one question, Euronews, European television. What is going on? Was ist los, Euronews?
Today, like every Sunday for years, groups of protesters from all over the region converge towards Hambach forest, playing cat and mouse with the police, who try to kettle them, or worse.
We crossed the street and started running. I ran onto the other side of the crash barrier. The police then jumped over the barrier, and one policeman hit me from above with his truncheon while running.
Most people participating in the demonstrations stick to the officially approved route, at least in the beginning.
For decades, this company, Rhyme Brown, today it's called RWE, built up an incredibly far-reaching network, reaching out deep into politics, into the media, into trade unions. It's difficult to fight back. Have a look at their propaganda. It doesn't match with the real facts. Germany wants to fix a coal exit timeline by the end of this year, a real challenge. But at least you should freeze logging, and they should stop razing villages until they have got their exit agenda. We have to put an end to this destruction of our livelihood.
When Zobel started his Sunday walks a few years ago, some 50 people joined him. The regional government's evacuation order transformed the walk into a demonstration. Now some 6,000 protesters are marching.
We are protesting against the coal mining, and the coal mining is probably the most shitty way to produce electric energy. It has the most CO2 emissions, and today we are planting new trees to extend the forest instead of killing it down.
We went looking for the head of Greenpeace Germany. He's part of the very official Coal Commission, a high-level consultative body created earlier this year by the Berlin government. Pro-coal voices and coal opponents, politicians and experts argue around a table to find a compromise on the exact exit timeline. The government expects them to hand over a timed proposal by the year's end.
Chancellor Merkel has promised to reduce CO2 emissions by 2020. The German target is 40% less CO2 compared to 1990, but we're way off.
What should be done? Try to pin it down. What do you want?
All those European countries still burning coal should unplug their coal power plants by the end of 2030. For Germany, that means that half of the coal power plants have to be turned off by 2020 and the remaining ones by 2030.
Also present is the head of an NGO gathering the concerns of locals living close to the open-cast pit. Chancellor Merkel appointed her to be a member of the Coal Commission too.
Germany had a good start in alternative energies, but then the politicians lost courage. Why? The coal lobby is very strong in Germany. It's frightening. Companies such as RWE are extremely powerful. I experienced this myself. There are attempts to blow up this coal commission from outside. Of course, RWE does not want us to find a compromise. We all know sustainable jobs are jobs related to renewable energies, not those related to coal. And we should handle energy more efficiently. We should use less energy.
Approaching Hambach forest, a handful of protesters split away from the authorised demonstration route and try to break through the police lines. They want to join the forest occupiers and delay the evacuation and destruction of the treetop villages even more. Germany aims to raise wind and solar power's share of energy generation from a third now to 65% by 2030. 2 out of 3 Germans are in favour of phasing out coal.
Today we had, well, what is it called? A demonstration. And we participated in it. And right now we planted some trees. Initially we wanted to plant them inside Hambach forest, but now we planted them right here. Lignite was necessary once upon a time. It would be wrong to demonize it completely, but today we have alternatives. We should move on, dismantle the old and build up the new. I'm not saying that everything should get unplugged overnight, but it makes sense to copy-paste the nuclear energy phase-out for coal and at the same time boost alternative energies. This forest has existed for some 12,000 years, and because of lignite extraction, it will be clear-cut. The forest will be the victim of an outdated energy concept that won't last for long.
The Hambach forest conflict kicked off a still ongoing movement that is not just about saving one woodland, not just here around the open-cast mine. There are demonstrations all over Germany to end dirty coal energy, to fight climate change, and to speed up the energy transition. The end of coal is coming closer.
Claudia Kempfert, thanks for being with us. Germany's government appointed a commission to plan the exit from coal. But we've seen in our report that a mine, a very important mine, as a matter of fact, is being expanded. So how serious is the government about dropping coal?
The government seems to be serious of dropping coal because they want to reach a climate target both of 2020 and 2030, but they have big constraints, and obviously the coal lobby in Germany is very, very strong. The government waited too long in having a concrete coal phase out, and the result we see right now, we have big battles about when and how the coal needs to be shut down.
Let's talk about the pro-coal lobby. You say it's really strong. Is it strong at influencing politicians, for example?
It is strong in influencing politicians, the lobby, because we have since many decades coal in Germany, also in Western Germany, and there is a strong connection to one party in Germany, which are the Social Democrats, and they have strong connections also with the labor forces, which are fighting also for each coal job in Germany.
When in fact the jobs in the coal sector are way less than in the renewable sector.
Way less than in the renewable sector. So we have 20,000 jobs in the coal sector, but 400,000 jobs in the renewable sector.
The government commission planning the exit from coal is supposed to come up with a date by the end of the year. When is it going to be, do you think?
Well, we can shut down coal as soon as possible if we replace it with renewable energy. So we need to do more to increase the share of renewable energy. That would be the first fact. And then we can shut down right now already a lot of coal power plants because we are producing more electricity than we need. And then we can reduce step by step the coal share by 2030 maximum in order to replace all the whole share of coal by renewables, but we need a little bit of time for that.
Germany is slated to abandon nuclear power production by 2022, and it wants to eventually drop out of coal. Is it reasonable and realistic to carry out both tasks at the same time?
Not at the same time, but one after the other. So we will phase out nuclear by 2022, and then we will start out a phase out after that time and reduce the share of coal of now 40% step by step by 2030. That is realistic if we increase the share of renewable energy quite drastically.
How does Germany compare to other European countries when it comes to coal consumption and production? Is it the bad apple in the lot?
Germany has a very high share of coal and especially of lignite, which brings up the emission to a very high extent. And this is, in comparison to other European countries, really a large share. And we need to reduce that because we also want to have an energy transition with more renewables, and coal is not fitting to this scenario. So we really have to be better in Europe and show that we take this seriously.
How come Germany is widely perceived as being green and climate friendly when we know that in fact it consumes and produces a lot of coal? Why is it so successful at greenwashing?
Yeah, that's a big question, and we have to face this paradox because we have to reduce the share of coal and want to be as green as we are seen in the outside world. So this is the first step. We have to show, otherwise we are losing credibility.
Okay, well, thank you very much for being with us on Insiders.
Thank you.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Join me again soon for another edition of Insiders. Until then, you can share your thoughts on Euronews' social media. Goodbye for now.